Hey, I'm Liam. There's a moment that almost everyone has faced. You're sitting there, you understand everything, you even know what you want to say, but when it's your turn, you just stay quiet. Your mind starts racing, your heart feels a little faster, and suddenly that simple sentence feels too risky to say. And later, when everything is over, you keep thinking about it. I could have said something. It wasn't even that hard.
I'm Elizabeth, and today, we're talking about something that quietly affects almost every part of your life: confidence.
Yeah, not the kind of confidence that looks loud from the outside. Not the kind you see on social media. I'm talking about that inner confidence. The one that helps you speak, act, and express yourself without constantly holding back.
Because when people hear the word confidence, they often imagine someone who is perfect, someone who speaks fluently, never hesitates, never makes mistakes. But in reality, confidence is not about being perfect. It's about being willing to speak, even when you're not fully sure.
And this becomes even more important when you're learning something like English. Because English is not just something you understand, it's something you have to use.
Yes, and that's where most people struggle. They learn vocabulary, they understand grammar, they listen to videos, they read. But when it comes to speaking, something stops them. It's not always a lack of knowledge.
I remember this very clearly from my own experience. There was a time when I was sitting in a small group discussion. The topic was simple. I knew the answer. I had the sentence ready in my mind. But I kept thinking, what if I say it wrong? What if people notice my mistake? What if I sound different? And because of that, I said nothing.
And the worst part is, no one else even remembers that moment, but you remember it.
That's what makes it strange. Nobody judged me. Nobody pointed anything out. But I kept thinking about it for a long time. It wasn't the situation that affected me. It was my own hesitation.
That hesitation is something a lot of people carry without even realizing it. It doesn't always feel like fear. Sometimes it feels like you're just being careful, like you're trying to avoid mistakes. But slowly, that carefulness turns into silence.
Yeah, and it doesn't just stay in one area. It starts affecting other parts of your life too. You hesitate to ask questions. You hesitate to share your thoughts. You hesitate to take small chances. And over time, you just get used to holding back.
And when it comes to English, this becomes even more visible. Because speaking a new language already feels uncomfortable. You're thinking about words, structure, pronunciation, everything at the same time. So even a simple sentence feels heavy.
Right. And then people start believing something that's not even true. They start thinking, maybe I'm not good at this.
Yes, when in reality, it's not about being good or bad. It's about practice and confidence. Because if you don't use what you know, it starts feeling like you don't know it at all.
That's a powerful point. Confidence is what allows you to use what you already have. Without it, even simple things feel difficult.
And the problem is, people wait. They think, I'll speak when I feel ready. I'll speak when my English is perfect. I'll speak when I stop making mistakes. But that moment never really comes.
Yeah, because confidence doesn't come first. You don't feel confident and then act. You act, and slowly confidence starts building.
It grows quietly, through small moments, through small attempts, not in one big step, but in many small ones.
And that's exactly what we're going to explore in this series. Not just what confidence is, but how it actually builds, why it breaks, and how you can work on it in a real, practical way.
We'll talk about the mistakes people don't even notice, the mindset that holds them back, and also simple ways you can start building confidence, especially while learning English.
Yeah, because this is not just about speaking better English. It's about expressing yourself without fear. It's about feeling comfortable being heard.
And by the end of this series, you'll not just understand confidence, you'll start seeing it differently in your own life.
In the next part, we'll go deeper into something very important. Why people struggle with confidence in the first place. Not just on the surface, but what's really happening inside.
And once you understand that, everything starts making more sense.
So stay with us, because this is just the beginning. So in the last part, we talked about those quiet moments when you want to speak, but something inside stops you. And I think the real question now is, why does that happen? Because it's not random. It's not just you being shy. There's always something deeper behind it.
Yes, and I feel this is where most people misunderstand confidence. They think, I don't have confidence, but they never stop and ask, why? Because once you understand the reason, things start to change.
So let's start with something simple. Confidence is not about knowing everything. It's not about speaking perfectly. It's actually about being willing to try, even when you feel unsure.
That's such an important shift, because many people connect confidence with perfection. They think if they make a mistake, it means they are not good enough. But confidence doesn't mean zero mistakes. It means you're okay with making them.
And one big reason people struggle is this habit of overthinking. Before saying one simple sentence, your mind goes through 10 different versions. Is this correct? Is this the right word? What if I sound strange? And by the time you decide, the moment is already gone.
Yes, and that pressure usually comes from somewhere. Many of us grew up in environments where mistakes were not accepted easily. In school, if you gave a wrong answer, it felt embarrassing. Sometimes people laughed. Sometimes teachers corrected you in a harsh way. So slowly your brain learns, wrong means shame.
That stays with you for a long time. Even when no one is judging you anymore, you still feel like someone is.
And then comparison makes it worse. You see someone speaking fluently, confidently, and you start thinking, I'm not like them. But what you don't see is their journey. You only see their result.
Right. You're comparing your starting point with someone else's progress, and that creates unnecessary pressure.
Another thing I've noticed is people keep learning silently for too long. They watch videos, they read, they listen, but they don't speak. And then when they finally try to speak, it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, because speaking is a different skill. Understanding something in your mind is one thing, expressing it is another. If you don't practice speaking, it will always feel difficult.
And that's where a small mindset shift helps. Instead of thinking, I should speak perfectly, you start thinking, I should speak anyway, even if it's not perfect.
That one change can make a huge difference, because confidence is not something you wait for. It grows after you take action. You speak once, maybe it feels awkward. You speak again, it feels a little easier, and slowly, it becomes natural.
Yes, it builds quietly. No one notices it at first, but you start feeling it. And there are some simple ways to begin this process.
Like starting small. You don't have to speak for 5 minutes. Just one sentence is enough. Say it clearly. Say it slowly. That's a start.
You can even talk to yourself. It might feel strange in the beginning, but it really helps. Stand in front of a mirror, or just sit quietly and speak your thoughts. No pressure, no audience.
Another useful method is recording yourself. When you listen back, you understand where you can improve. Not in a critical way, but in a learning way.
And one important thing, don't try to fix every mistake while you're speaking. Let yourself complete the sentence first. You can improve later, but if you stop again and again, your flow breaks.
That's true. Flow matters more in the beginning. Accuracy will improve with time.
Also, your environment plays a big role. If you are around people who make fun of mistakes, your confidence will drop. But if you're around people who encourage you, even small progress feels good.
Yeah, sometimes it's not about your ability, it's about the space you're in.
I remember someone I knew. She understood English very well, but she never spoke. Every time she tried, she felt nervous. So she started with something very small. Just one sentence every day. No pressure. At first, it felt uncomfortable. But after a few days, she noticed something. It was getting easier.
That's how it works. Small steps, repeated again and again.
Exactly. And that's the deeper message here. Confidence is not something you suddenly get. It's something you build, quietly, through action.
And most of the time, no one even sees that process, but you feel it. And once it starts building, it changes the way you speak and the way you see yourself.
In the next part, we'll take this further. We'll talk about how you can actually apply this in real life, especially while learning English. Not just ideas, but practical ways.
Yeah, things you can start doing right away. So stay with us, because now it gets more. So in the last part, we talked about why confidence feels difficult, the fear, the overthinking, the pressure to be perfect. And once you understand that, the next question becomes very simple. What do you actually do now? Because knowing the problem is one thing, but changing something requires action.
Yes, and this is where many people get stuck again. They understand everything we talked about, but they still don't move forward. Not because they don't want to, but because they don't have a clear way to start.
Exactly. So let's make this very practical. Especially when it comes to English, there's something important you need to understand. Knowing English and using English are two different things.
That's true. You can understand a video. You can read a paragraph. You can even recognize words. But when it's time to speak, your mind feels empty. Not because you don't know anything, but because you're not used to expressing it.
And that's where confidence connects directly with learning. If you don't use what you know, it slowly starts feeling like you don't know it at all.
Yes, and one common mistake people make is staying in learning mode for too long. They keep watching videos, keep reading, keep collecting new words, but they don't practice speaking.
And then they wait for the perfect moment. They think, one more video, one more lesson, then I'll start speaking. But that moment never comes.
Exactly. Because confidence doesn't come from preparation alone, it comes from practice, even if that practice feels uncomfortable.
So let's talk about what you can actually do. Simple things, but done regularly. The first thing is, start speaking out loud. Not in your head, out loud. Even if it's just 1 or 2 sentences.
Yes, your voice needs practice, not just your mind. You can take a simple topic, like your day, your routine, or something you watched, and just talk about it. Don't worry about mistakes. Just complete your thoughts.
Another powerful method is recording yourself. At first, it might feel strange, maybe even uncomfortable. But when you listen to your own voice, you become aware of how you speak. Not in a negative way, but in a clear way.
And over time, you'll notice improvement. You'll hear yourself becoming more natural, more relaxed. That awareness builds confidence.
There's also something called repeating or shadowing. You listen to a sentence, and then you repeat it in your own voice. This helps with flow, rhythm, and clarity.
Yes, and you can also create small situations for yourself, like asking a simple question or answering something in English, even in a basic way. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real.
Another mistake people make is stopping themselves too much while speaking. They start a sentence, then stop. Correct. Start again, stop again. That breaks the flow.
Instead, let the sentence finish, even if it's not perfect. Then later, you can improve it, because confidence grows when you complete your thoughts, not when you keep stopping them.
Flow first, accuracy later.
And one more important thing, don't depend only on translation. If you keep thinking in your first language and then translating, speaking becomes slow and heavy. Try to think in simple English. Even small phrases, small ideas. That's enough.
That's a great point. Speaking is not about complex sentences. It's about clear expression.
And consistency matters more than intensity. You don't need 1 hour of perfect practice. You need 10 minutes of real practice every day.
Yeah, small steps repeated daily. That's what builds confidence, not one big effort.
Also, your environment matters a lot here. If you are only consuming content passively, you won't feel confident. But if you actively engage, speak, respond, try, then things start changing.
And something else happens too. Your identity starts shifting. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is learning English, and you start seeing yourself as someone who speaks English.
That shift is powerful because once you believe that, you act differently. You try more. You speak more. You stop holding yourself back so much.
I remember a moment from my own journey. I was not very confident speaking English. I understood things, but speaking felt uncomfortable. One day, I decided to just try, no matter what. I spoke slowly. I made mistakes, but I didn't stop. And nothing bad happened.
That realization changes everything.
Yeah, that moment showed me something simple. The fear was bigger than the reality. After that, it became easier to try again.
And that's how confidence builds. Not in one big step, but in many small attempts. You speak, you feel awkward, you speak again, it feels a little better, and slowly, it becomes normal.
Exactly. You don't become confident first and then act. You act, and confidence follows.
In the next part, we'll bring everything together. We'll go through some useful words you can use. We'll summarize what we've learned, and we'll give you a simple challenge you can actually follow.
Yeah, something you can start right away. So stay with us, because now it's time to turn all of this into something real. So, we've come a long way in this conversation. We started with those quiet moments where you want to speak but you don't. Then we understood why that happens and what's going on inside your mind. And in the last part, we talked about what you can actually do. Now the question is, what happens next?
Yeah, because understanding is important. But if it stays only in your mind, nothing really changes. Something has to move. And before we talk about action, I think it's helpful to learn a few simple words that can make expressing yourself easier.
That's a good idea. Let's keep it simple and useful.
So the first word is hesitation. It means that moment when you are not sure and you pause before speaking. For example, I had a little hesitation before answering.
And that's very common. Everyone feels it. The second one is self-doubt. That's when you start questioning yourself, like, am I good enough? Or, can I really do this?
Yes, and another useful phrase is express yourself. It simply means to say what you feel or think, like, try to express yourself clearly.
Then we have take initiative. It means you don't wait. You start something on your own. For example, he took initiative and started the conversation.
Another important one is step out of your comfort zone. It means doing something that feels a little uncomfortable, but helps you grow.
And one more simple word, progress. It means improvement over time, even if it's small, because confidence is not about perfection, it's about progress.
Exactly. And when you start using these words, you also start thinking differently. Language shapes your mindset.
Now, if we look back at everything we discussed, it becomes very clear. Confidence is not something you suddenly get one day.
It's something you build, slowly, through small actions, small efforts, repeated again and again.
We saw that most people don't struggle because they don't know enough. They struggle because they don't use what they know.
And they wait for the perfect time, for the perfect sentence, for the perfect feeling. But that waiting keeps them stuck.
So instead of waiting, you start small. You speak one sentence. You try once. You allow yourself to be imperfect.
And slowly, that fear becomes lighter. Not because it disappears completely, but because you stop listening to it all the time.
That's where real change begins. So now, let's make this practical.
Yes. Let's give you something simple you can actually follow. A small challenge. Nothing complicated.
For the next 7 days, do this. Day 1. Speak for 1 minute about anything. Day 2. Introduce yourself in English. Day 3. Record your voice. Day 4. Speak without stopping, even if you make mistakes. Day 5. Ask or answer one simple question in English. Day 6. Repeat the same thing, but a little better. Day 7. Speak again and notice the difference.
That's it. No pressure, no perfection, just consistency.
And if you feel uncomfortable, that's okay. That's part of the process.
Yes, don't wait to feel confident. Start, and confidence will slowly come.
And if you've been holding yourself back for a long time, just remember this. Most people are not watching you as closely as you think. They are busy with their own thoughts, their own worries.
And even if someone notices your mistake, it doesn't define you. What really matters is that you tried.
Because every time you speak, you're doing something most people avoid. You're growing.
And your voice matters. Even if it's not perfect, even if it shakes a little, it still matters.
So don't keep waiting for the right moment. Make this moment your starting point.
Start small, stay consistent, and trust the process.
If something in this conversation connected with you, take that one step today. And if you want, you can share your experience, your struggle, or your progress.
Yeah, we'd really like to hear that.
And we'll see you again with more real conversations like this. Until then, keep speaking, keep trying, and keep moving forward.